Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. Trying out Sky Striker Orcust in the Dual Triangle event. I've actually been meaning to try a build like this on Ladder, but the Dual Triangle presented a perfect opportunity for me to test a build like this out. Now, this first duel, as you can see, didn't open the best hand despite going first. However, thankfully my opponent draw phased Purrely, and I was just planning on passing anyway, so I will definitely take starting with a bunch of hand traps instead of openers if it means my opponent opening -1 card. As always, this is one of the many reasons why I don't think it's great to shotgun stuff like Purrely or Maxi. Now here, when my opponent goes into their Purrely plays, I'm going to chain Purrely. So, yeah, obviously I am on the Link side of this Dual Triangle event. I played against a lot of Purrely in this event from the Exodia side. I've seen a lot of people say that Branded is everywhere, but I haven't really run into them too much. Alright, now here my opponent's going to use the My Friend in order to go for some more of their quick play spells. I'm going to chain a second Purrely here, and interestingly, my opponent's going to throw out an Ash Blossom in response to that, but not the first one. I actually get it, because Purrely doesn't really play that much into Maxi or Purrely on its turn 1, but I can see how them thinking a second one would be a bit much. However, I'm just going to use Impulse here in order to stop them from having plays altogether. I probably should just let this go through, I don't know, because here's the thing, I still don't have plays in my hand, right? But at the very least, I do have Magnum Hut, which I can summon, and I will, here. This will let me at least get a body on the board and let me do a little bit of deck thinning. So that was the main reason why I decided to Impulse the Purrely, even though I didn't have plays in my hand. And here we have an Imperm, so no plays, but I can Magnum Hut battle over the Purrely, main phase 2 all set 2, and then pass. Couldn't summon Druistorm during the battle phase, of course, because my opponent didn't have a monster on the field, otherwise I could have gotten some more damage in there. My friend, they're going to go for 3 Purrely, normal summon Purrely here. I am actually going to Imperm this, not even just because of the Excavate effect, but mostly because of the second effect as well. I don't want them to be able to special summon by revealing a quick play spell from hand, which they did have a Happy Memory in hand, so they're going to use that to summon a Purrely from deck, and then add a Purrely. Purrely effect will activate, and I'm going to use my second Impulse here to not only negate but also destroy the Purrely. That way they can't go into a rank 1 with their 2 level 1 monsters here either. And that's all they got, which is definitely a relief to me, as I still have not top decked plays yet, but even without any of my Sky Striker or Orcust stuff, we were still able to pull through. Alright, going into our next game here, this one's going to be against Exodia, and my opponent actually let me go first here. Oh, I think they're quickly going to find that they will have not wished they would have done that, because I am going to open multiple Sky Striker cards as well as a Girsu as well. So, if you're wondering how Sky Striker and Orcust play together, well, 1, you might not be familiar with toss format then, but 2, it's pretty simple. You use Engage in order to summon the token, and then you link the token into Kagari. Kagari can add back the, or not Engage, Hornet Drones. Kagari can add back the Hornet Drones, make another token, then you can go to Nightmare Phoenix and then Mermaid. Or, if you open hands like this, you can summon your Sky Striker cards, and then just normal summon Girsu anyway. Because with Girsu, you know, you're looking to get the extra token, right, if you summon it with no other cards in the field. But why do that and give your opponent a token when you could just, you know, put out multiple Sky Striker cards instead? Now, my opponent did use Droll and Lockbird, which doesn't stop Orcust from comboing, but it does mean I won't have access to the Crescendo, because I'll have to use Galatea in order to set the field spell from my deck. That's also why I haven't summoned Galatea I just yet, but I will here in a second, because I do want to work her into the combo line for some extra bodies. So yeah, we can't do the Galatea I search, but I can still make the Long Girsu here. I like weaving this into the combo line for this version of the deck. That way you have something to summon off of Symbol Skeleton later. Because, of course, you know, it's the Dual Triangle event, so I can't play Ding Girsu in this deck. But if your opponent, say, summons into the extra monster zone while you still have, you know, Inlil Girsu, you could Symbol Skeleton, revive Long Girsu, put it underneath this EMZ, and then send that card, potentially. So, that's why I think for, again, the Dual Triangle build, it is still good to play Long Girsu. Plus, you have the room in the extra deck. It's like, why not? And then now I can use my extra leftover bodies to make IP Masquerena. So that's basically not only how you would use Sky Striker with Orcust in this event, but also in general, right? That way you have not only extra starters, but extra bodies as well. So lots of different ways to play Orcust. Plus, if you open like multiple engages and you don't get trolled, you can gain some insane advantage through the extra searches plus draws. Alright, so here they're going to go for their Millennium engine. At this point, I'm kind of waiting for the Exodia to come down so I can either steal or banish it. However, they're going to summon Doom Dragon to force me to use my Enlil gear suit here. Gonna shuffle back the Harpour, take their Doom Dragon. I'm going to go for Orcust Nightmare effect, and then they're going to surrender. But yeah, if they tried to go for the Unstoppable Exodia, I could have simply activated the IP, gone into SP, and then banished it. Because Unstoppable Exodia is actually quite stoppable. You just need to do it with the monster effect, because it can negate spell and trap cards and gain a bunch of attack points, but it can't stop monster effects. If my opponent had battled over the IP Masquerena, that also would have been fine, because then they wouldn't have been able to battle with their Exodia. And then what's the point of them going second? Because I think what they're trying to do is OTK with their Exodia. But again, if they battle and then, they don't OTK me, then I have a huge advantage. Just one example of how to use Sky Striker cards with the Orcust stuff here. Let's go into our next. Here's another game against Purrely. This time we're going to be going second here. Like I said, I ran into a ton of Purrely, but I only saw Branded a couple of times. Alright, this hand looks really good. We got multiple starters, multiple hand traps, and the triple tack. They're going to go with straight Purrely Street. Which is actually a little bit awkward because it means I can't target their stuff. But after they add off the Purrely, I can throw out my Droll and Mockbird here. Stop them from adding off the My Friend. Of course, they're still going to activate My Friend. And then they can use Purrely because they already used the Sleepy Memory. So basically, even though I Drolled them, they can still set up their full turn 1 end board here. Which is a little bit unlucky for me. But I'm going to have to make do. Yeah, setting the Yeep off the Noir, getting other material onto it. Now they can add another Sleepy Memory, which means they can not only draw 2 off the Sleepy Memories off the Purrely Noir, but of course they'll go Yeep into X Purrely Noir and draw another 2. Thankfully, when it comes to towers, X Purrely Noir is not nearly as scary as Lunalight Liger Dancer, because it's only a towers while it has 5 materials in the field. So basically, if I can force them to try to spin back one of my cards, then I can... It'll basically be affected by effects again, right? So, Foolish Barrow for Orcust Nightmare, they're going to immediately put the Orcust Nightmare back. That sounds good to me. That's exactly what I wanted to happen. We're going to go for Engage for Hornet Drones. I could have used the triple tack on the X-Ploit Noir at this point, but also I wouldn't have been able to activate Sky Striker cards because I would have had something in my main monster zone. So I was like, I guess I might as well use those first, right? Roll summon Symbol Skeleton, and they're just going to concede right there. So I guess they didn't have any hand traps. I was a little bit worried about that, but no, thankfully they didn't. So we were able to secure that duel pretty easily there. Let's check out the next one. So I did, like I said, I did run into Branded a couple of times, although this one was way more focused on Dragonmaid. Well, it's branded Dragonmaid, but it's mostly Dragonmaid. I think we're only going to see Dragonmaid stuff here. Going first, and yeah, we are also on Widow Anchor, just another option to search with Engage, but yeah, I had a lot of hands like this, honestly, where we open both Sky Striker and Orcust stuff, which again is perfectly fine with me, because it just means extra bodies. It's not like the multiple starters conflict with one another. It's another great thing about the Sky Striker engine in Orcust that doesn't use your normal summon, which means that you can still just, throw down a Gear Suit in a hand like this. Now, if you're not under Droll and Lockbird, I like using the Kagari to add back Engage instead of Widow Anchor, or instead of Hornet Drones, rather, and then adding another copy of Hornet Drones. That way you do a little bit of deck thinning on top of getting your engine online. Now, interesting, here I did go for the Nightmare stuff, even though I opened the Gear Suit. Not really sure why I bothered with that, although to be fair, it's really just going to be -1 card in hand. It doesn't really change like the number of bodies I have on board, right? Although, yeah, there was really no need for me to do that. I think it was because, I think it's because my opponent was getting past priority. And I wanted to make sure I still had follow-up plays in case it was like a nib or something. Although once they threw down the Baldric, I became a little bit more confident that it was going to be something like that. So now we can make our Galatea. Galatea F. We can shuffle back our Orcust Nightmare. You want to make sure that you're, you know, upkeeping your engine. Like, actually, here I shouldn't do a great job of that, to be fair. I should have put back my World Wand. Although, I guess we're not going to be going into World Wand at this line. Which is why I put back Orcust Nightmare. Okay, that makes more sense. But yeah, you want to make sure that Orcust Nightmare is constantly getting recycled from your banish pile back into your graveyard. And then you can use World Wand, or you can recycle World Wand, rather, with the Galatea to put it back into your deck. But you don't want to end up in a situation where both your Orcust Nightmare and your World Wand are banished and you just don't have access to them, right? Alright, we're ending on Inlo Gearsu plus IP yet again. They're going to go for a Super Poly, sending the Tiding in order to summon out a Mud Dragon using my 2 monsters as material. Hospitality, thankfully, can be Ash Blossomed, so I'm going to do that here. And we do still have our graveyard effects, as well as the Crescendo. Like, I could summon back Galatea I at any point and use it with the Crescendo, but I wanted them to battle first, so that way they couldn't just battle over it and then, you know, do plays. But they just passed after battling, so I'm like, okay, that definitely works for me. Gonna long Gearsu for the Galatea I. Now we can go Orcust Nightmare F in order to send Harpor. Let's go Harpor F in order to banish, in order to summon Gearsu. Gearsu F, we can send off the Symbol Skeleton. Symbol Skeleton effects, we can use that in order to revive. Doesn't matter because they're gonna tends to be how our Orcust duels go. Okay, I've shown you a lot of good examples of gameplay here. Now let me show you the build that I used in the Dual Triangle event. Alright, so this is Sky Striker Orcust, again, specifically for the Dual Triangle event. So that's why I know Max C, that's why I know Dingirsu in the extra deck. You know, can't play those cards due to the event. But I think this deck is really, really solid for the event. I acknowledge that Branded is likely just better, but I'm not really a big fan of playing Branded myself, and I've been having a ton of fun playing Orcust on ladder lately, so I wanted to continue playing it in the event. But actually playing Sky Striker Orcust in the event has kind of made me want to try a similar style build out on ladder as well. If that's something you want to see, definitely let me know in the comments below, and I will be happy to oblige. But yeah, Callby and Crossout are also banned in the event, so that's why we're rocking a couple of copies of Triple Tax, so we can have some amount of counterplay against hand traps. But this deck is really, really phenomenal for the event, right? Because it's basically like playing a ranked ladder power level deck, just in the event. The same, of course, is true for Branded, although they don't have to make compromises like we do, which is why I think that is a little bit better. But, you know, when you look at our number of starters here, we've got the 3 Harpor, the 3 Gearsu, plus the 3 Engage and the 3 Hornet Drones. That's 12, and then Foolish Barrel makes 13 right there. And then for hand traps, we get to play 2 Droll plus 3 Ash Blossom is 5, plus 3 Fua is 8, plus the Nib is 9, plus Imperm and Impulse is 15. That actually doesn't even include our Bestials, which are kind of a little bit situational, but they're still very much used as hand traps. It's 18 hand traps in an events deck while also playing 13 one-card starters. It's kind of insane. That's actually kind of ridiculous for an event in particular. So yeah, the extra deck I think is mostly pretty self-explanatory, right? Like, again, obviously we like to be running something like Dingirsu, but instead we're filling the holes with like a second Galatea is never bad. Nightmare Cerberus, in case we actually want that instead of Phoenix, to then pivot into Mermaid. I've seen a lot of people playing Orcust in the event on this Topologic Bomber Dragon. I haven't made it myself, but it is an option, and it's only an SR, so I was like, why not? But it didn't come up for me at all during gameplay, so you could throw in like any other Link monster here pretty much and still be good. But yeah, I think that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. Thanks, as always, for watching. Why don't we go ahead and move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.